Hi everybody, I'm Glenyce Hughes, and I have a tool from Access Consciousness that I'd like to share with you. When we have a disappointment or a hurt in our life, we often put up these walls, these barriers, in order to protect ourselves from never feeling that hurt or that pain again. And then sometimes we even go further with that, and we maybe are taught to protect ourselves from energy stuff. Maybe you surround yourself with white light or put up mirrors, and we basically end up with all of these walls and walls and walls of energy between us and everything. Now, consciousness includes everything and judges nothing. When we have barriers up, we can't actually receive anything. And a lot of times when I work with my clients and in classes with this tool, people go straight to, well, if I have my barriers down, then I'll receive bad energy. I'll be open to bad happening or negative happening or negative energy. And really ask yourself, what makes something good or bad, or what makes energy positive or negative? Yeah, it's just our judgment of it. So what if you were willing to receive everything without a point of view? Because when you put up a wall, it doesn't stop a certain type of energy, it stops everything. So this is kind of the craziness of it, is that we put up these walls so we never get hurt again. And with those walls up, it's impossible to receive the love or adoration or kindness or gratitude from others. The same way that we can't receive all of the other stuff that we've decided is whether good or bad. So the tool is very simple, and one that sometimes takes people a while to get used to, and even a while to be willing to use, is barriers down, barriers down, barriers down. Barriers down in all lifetimes, universes, and realities. Barriers down, barriers down, barriers down. And you can imagine just dropping everything, just all of those walls crushing down to the ground, so that you're literally just standing there open, completely vulnerable. And I know we have points of view about vulnerable. We're taught that vulnerability is wrong and bad, and that if you're vulnerable, you'll get hurt. It's like, yeah, and when you're behind all those walls, feeling totally disconnected and lonely, doesn't that hurt? And the only reason it hurts when it comes in is that we've decided, we've judged it, we've added the element of judgment to it. What if we didn't have a point of view? You know, if somebody says something that's unkind to you, what if you didn't have a point of view about it? What if you knew it had nothing to do with you and everything to do with them? So right now, I want you to bring the energy. Imagine somebody that you normally have barriers up to. Maybe it's your boss, maybe it's a coworker, maybe it's a parent, a sibling, whatever. Just bring that person to mind. And then barriers down, barriers down, barriers down. Barriers down, barriers down, barriers down, in all lifetimes, universes, realities. Barriers down, barriers down, barriers down. Barriers down, barriers down, barriers down. Now, can you perceive the presence you're actually able to be in that moment now that those barriers are down? Yeah. And the really cool thing is when your barriers are down, nobody else's barriers can be up with you. And not that it matters to you if theirs are up or down, it's just that when you look to commune with somebody, to connect with somebody, to have a conversation with somebody, the more present you are and the more present they are, the more you're going to really perceive that communion and really get to whatever it is that you would like, or we're setting up or creating, or whatever it may be. So barriers down, barriers down, barriers down. And I went as far to ask my body to let me know when I put those barriers up. Because usually we're so used to it, it's so normal for us, whatever normal is, that we don't even know. So now I'm very aware. I get a real tightness in my stomach area when my barriers go up. And in that moment, it's like, okay, thanks, body. And in my head, the first thing is barriers down, barriers down, barriers down. And I was really interested about a month or two ago. My 6-year-old niece came running up to me and gave me a big hug when I got to her house. And she said to me, she said, "Oh, Auntie, I sure wish we didn't live so far apart. I haven't seen you for so long." And in that moment, my barriers actually went up. And I was like, that's weird. What the heck? And afterwards, I was looking at that and I was like, my barriers went up because I actually live the closest to her. My center of possibilities is in the same town that she lives in. There's no reason for us not to be seeing each other more often. So my barriers went up in a defense against me, a wrongness of me, of not choosing that more. Now that's not what she was asking me to do. She wasn't putting me, she was just making a statement. She'd like to see me more often. She then carried on about how she'd like all of us to live on the same street. So, what if we're never wrong? And what if me receiving that had nothing to do with me being wrong? And what if just receiving it with barriers down created a whole different connection for her and I? Yeah, so barriers down, barriers down, barriers down. Use that tool as much as you can, you guys. It will create so much change in your life. All those horrible things you thought would happen when you're vulnerable, it doesn't. It creates so much more in your life than you've never even imagined possible. So I would love to hear how this tool works for you and what change it creates in your life by using it. So have a wonderful rest of your day.